65 horsepower trap. That might pop wide open, Rats.
Welcome in, everybody, to the TPT podcast. We have a big show for you guys today. Huge guest, former Chiefs DB, Eric Warfield. Eric, how are you? Welcome into the podcast.
Good morning, man. Thanks for having me on. I guess it's a good time since we're still rolling into playoffs and looking forward to this next game. So not bad timing.
Yeah, we have a big game. Bengals, Chiefs. This is the AFC Championship game. Not just because it's the AFC Championship game, but it's those pesky Cincinnati Bengals again. A team where you even had a matchup against 2003. You had that big game going in 9-0. You went up against guys like Chad Cinco and that offense, similar to what this offense is with Joe Burrow and those guys. That's the first thing we're going to talk about here on the show. You know just as well as anyone, obviously, you played with the Chiefs from 98 to 05, played against great receivers, a guy, again, like Chad Ochocinco, going up against a guy like Jamar Chase. What are some of the things that the Kansas City Chiefs need to do to slow down a guy like Jamar Chase, in your opinion?
Jamar is one of a kind, and he's one of those standout receivers that's going to find a way to get his. It's just a matter of containing him. I don't think there's any receiver that's in the NFL that can be stopped, just completely stopped. But you can't contain them with certain schemes and with certain players. And I think that the way our defense has been playing, that this, I don't want to even say second half of the season, but the later part of the season has shown that, we're capable of being a Super Bowl team. And we've been making some key stops. Watson's interception at the Jacksonville game was huge, and the way that Jacksonville has been playing and made that big comeback against the Chargers. So, the guys have shown that they can step up when their number's called. And so that's the key thing that I like right now. It's like, there was a lot of chatter about how the defense didn't complement the offense. And we, struggling to find out what our identity was and who was going to be our step-up guy outside of Chris Jones, because he's the only one that's, been consistent throughout with our defense. But yeah, the secondary's been good, and I honestly thought, losing Tyrann Mathieu was gonna hurt, but yet, Reed has stepped in, Juan Thornhill has stepped in, Snead, all these guys have stepped in and done a great job of holding down the back end. Yeah,
and you touched on Watson, 7th round pick like you, and all of a sudden he's making plays, big interceptions. He had that interception as well versus the Chargers, and it's a young secondary. Talk a little bit about the growth of this young secondary, where you think this secondary can be. Obviously, McDuffie, we didn't touch on him just yet, but again, a guy like Watson, 7th round pick like you, making big plays. Who is the guy also you would like to see them put on Jamar Chase?
I like Watson because he's the tallest of the group. He's done well, but you can't single out a corner to say, hey, we want you to follow this guy, because offense can draw up schemes to where they can throw a guy in motion. And when you do that, you can kind of mess up the back end, and maybe not just the back end, but the entire defense, trying to put somebody particularly on one guy. You have to have all those guys prepared for the moment. If McDuffie's not ready, why even have him as a starter? Snead's not ready, why have him out on the field? These guys have to have confidence that they can, if Jamar happens to be on them, that they can get the job done. If I feel like one player is better than another, as a coach, and he gives us a better chance, I might think about doing it that way, but to try to have him, because I think Jamar plays a certain side majority than he plays on the other side.
Well, I think it's the right, yeah.
Yeah, so you can play it that way. But again, I'd rather just have these guys going in with a great game plan, knowing what their duties are, and to have that confidence that, hey, if it's Chase, heck, I can't think 85's name, but the other guys,
T. Higgins,
yeah, Higgins, and whoever's out there, that you're going to get your job done, and if they catch a ball, you make the tackle. And the thing is our front seven's got to be prepared to slow down Joe.
Yes,
dude is phenomenal. And the one thing that I noticed during the last game that we played was a stat that I didn't know was that Chris Jones doesn't have a playoff sack.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So that's huge. He's our best guy. He's our best defender out there. And for him not to have a sack, that could hurt us going up against Cincinnati because, their offensive line has been playing well. Joe has been making some phenomenal plays. And we have to get pressure on Joe Burrow to slow him down. Because if not, he's known for tearing the defense apart.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, I mean, just calm, cool, and collected in the pocket. He's a guy that gets the ball out quick. I would have thought Chris Jones had many playoff career sacks. Frank Clark is the one that, he's up there. I think he just surpassed Reggie White in career sacks. and Frank Clark in Chiefs Kingdom is the most criticized player that, on the defensive side of the ball. And you also got guys like George Karlaftis, can't forget about him. He's been playing well. But this has got to be a Chris Jones game because if you can make a team one-dimensional, that's the oldest rule in football. Make a team one-dimensional. They have to abandon the run, and that's more likelihood. And again, they are missing some guys on the offensive line for the Bengals, even though they played well versus the Bills. That's more, likely where you can get to Burrow. You can rattle Burrow. So, and it's more likely he can beat you deep with Jamar Chase. But this has got to be a game where you have a guy like Chris Jones get home.
Yeah, you have to. Joe has been so poised, and at such a young age to where he's your premier pocket passer. He's not a Josh Allen. I want to run out of the pocket and run over guys, or I'm going to sit back. He doesn't throw the pretty ball like Aaron Rodgers, but he makes the right pass the right time. If he has to scramble for a few yards, he scrambles for a few yards. He's not going to take the big hit. He's going to make the play to get them positive yardage. He's not looking for the
home run.
The home run at every play. And so, yeah, he's so poised and getting that done for them. But I think, just for me, if I remember correctly, Chris Jones had moments last year the way he could have, had those sacks.
Yeah, he had an AFC Championship game.
Slipped right out of his hands. And so, at that size, you gotta wrestle that guy down somehow. And he can be rattled. We've known that Joe has been sacked, I think, 9 times in one game. So
Titans last year.
Yes, and to have something like that, that you can get, pressure and get hits on him. And I think that we have the cash to do so. It's just a matter of, how well we prepare for this week. Now, the one thing that scares me the most is, coming off of a short week, going into a game with having the injury that we have to Pat. Take nothing from Henny. He did an excellent job on scoring a 90+ yard touchdown for us. And I would put all my trust in him, but I don't know if we want him to be the guy to lead us into the Super Bowl. I'd love to have a healthy Patrick Mahomes going into this game.
That is the biggest question going to this game. That's what we're going to get into a little bit right now. Is Patrick Mahomes? Are you going to have an 80% Patrick Mahomes or are you going to have a 50% Patrick Mahomes? A lot of people have concerns with Patrick Mahomes and his health. I'm looking at some of the stats right now. Patrick Mahomes is first in every category in the pocket, even though that is not his, go-to thing, getting out of the pocket. The question I have for you is, as a DB, a pocket quarterback, a guy like a Tom Brady compared to a guy like a Josh Allen Mahomes, does that make it a little bit easier or a little bit harder because you know that he can roll out of the pocket, make plays, you're having to run around more, or is it a little bit tougher because you know that guy's just going to keep firing shots from the pocket?
So Patrick's so difficult because he's able to make any and every throw. He's also able to make the throw that's unheard of. You know, we've seen plays to where, only he can do, only he can imagine it. And, it's things that other quarterbacks wouldn't even try. So that's the thing that's scariest about him. And as much as you like to go in and think that, you have this offense figured out, there's something different every single week. There's almost something different every single play. And they have found a way to be so successful to where, he's kind of put himself on a plateau of his own. Patrick hasn't gotten the rings that Tom Brady has, but, there's so many people that say he's the best that's ever done it because of the things that he's able to do with that ball and also his feet, dude is just incredible to watch. And I first said it a few years ago. He reminds me of Steph Curry because it's something that we've never seen.
Right.
Right. And he's not only done it in a couple of years, he's done it year after year after year. And it's every year he seems to surprise people with the things that he does. But yeah, I'd take a 80, I'd take a 70, I'd take a 65% Patrick Mahomes and be okay with going into this game. I just want to know how well that ankle is going to hold up and if he's able to put pressure on it. Because I've been in that position where you've had those high ankle sprains and there's not a lot you can do with it. So hopefully he's got some ice and stem and got some personal trainer at his home 24/7 helping him out with that. So
yeah, and that's the biggest question because the Bengals right now, I mean, I don't know if this motivates the Chiefs. I don't know if some of the players look at some of the things like this, but they're a 1-point favorite going into Arrowhead. You know what it's like to play at Arrowhead. Arrowhead is crazy. What is some of your expectations if you're a player and on the defensive side of the ball, what it's going to be like at Arrowhead this upcoming Sunday?
Well, we all know that Arrowhead is by far one of the best places to play. I think it is the loudest place to play.
Is it the loudest you've ever been to?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's an outdoor arena. I've been to places that are domed, that are
domed,
not loud. Yeah. And so that adds pressure to an offense. But there's a big but in this. Excuse my language, since Joe Burrow has been there, we haven't beaten.
Yeah,
Arrowhead can be as loud as it wants to be. The weather can be primed what we need it to be. Patrick can be as healthy as we want him to be. They've had our number the last 3 times. And outside of the fumble that Kelsey had, of which we could have ended up winning that game.
It could have took a 10-point lead.
Yeah, it's just a part of how it ends up, and that's, again, they just got our number somehow. And I just hope that, we find a way to pull out this win because, I saw against Buffalo, they had a 3-man rush and they ended up getting to Josh Allen. That's tough to do. You rush 3 guys and you can still get a sack or a hit on the quarterback. That is tough. And because you got so many guys dropping back in coverage to where you can't find anybody to throw it to. So if your quarterback's able to scramble, he's got to take as many yards as he can. But if we don't have a healthy Patrick, then what can use? Yeah.
So speaking about a healthy Patrick, the one guy that I think can help this load is another 7th round guy. Was speaking of, we had a guy like Brock Purdy spin well. The guy before him that got drafted, Isaiah Pacheco, he had that run the other day, bouncing off tackles, looking like Larry Johnson, and almost took it to the house on that Chad Henne drive. Talk a little bit about what the Chiefs can do in the run game. It looks like they may activate Clyde as well, but you got Pacheco and you got Jerick McKinnon, who has found the fountain of youth and is playing Will Rell right now. Do you think that is the main thing going into this game, is the run game?
A running game will obviously keeps everybody honest. You can't just go full attack on Patrick. And those guys have done really, really well But again, our identity is Patrick Mahomes in our passing game. You know, we're not going to win games and you know, rushing for 200 yards or whatsoever. We are a passing team. Now, those guys can capitalize on that because teams think that we're going to pass on every play and they can get chunk yards or big plays for us. And they've done a really, really good job coming out of nowhere because, again, we're not a rushing team. You know, we do like the gimmicky backs that can get you a few yards up the field, but they can also catch that swing pass out or catch a pass down the middle coming out of the backfield. So we like those small backs that are versatile backs that can do it all. We don't have that power back that can just, you know, crush it up the middle. And Pacheco's kind of stepped into that role, but again, he's not a big guy, but he's a physical guy. He likes the contact. And I think it'll help us. But again, our passing game has got to be there for us to be successful at any point. You know, again, we're just not a running team.
Yeah. You know, the passing game, of course, you got a guy like Kelsey. You played with a guy like Tony Gonzalez. Kansas City's been blessed with tight ends. You go from a guy like Tony Gonzalez, and then almost immediately after you go to a guy like Travis Kelce. Talk a little bit about this passing game. Travis Kelce maybe go down as the greatest tight end. What are the similarities between the two tight ends that you see?
Between Tony and Travis?
Yes, Tony and Travis with some of the similarities.
Tony was so technically sound, and you see a lot of his basketball skills out on the field. And with Travis, it's so much of his swagger that's just so completely different. Like, dude just has a way like of using it. He's huge. Travis is a big boy.
Wide guy.
To be that big, to be able to move not just straight ahead, but to be able to make cuts and on a dime and make those plays that he makes, it's fun to watch. And especially after, you know, he has, like I said, the swagger of to go out there and to dance and then to keep this excitement going, whether it's a good game or bad game. He makes it fun to watch. But the thing that makes him different, I don't want to say he doesn't look as athletic as Tony. Again, it's just Tony looks more of the basketball style because Tony was more technical with all that stuff. And Travis is just out there like a big bodied receiver making plays. And they both have had great careers. You know, Tony's obviously in the Pro Bowl. And not Pro Bowl, but the Hall of Fame. And I'm 100% sure that Travis is going to be there too. And like you said, he's probably going to go down as the best tight end to ever do it. So it's hard to stop him. And it is. When you see team after team, he's gone up against some great guys one-on-one, and he's done every last one of them. And it's phenomenal to see him go out there and do it, especially at his age right now. Because Travis is up there,
32, 33, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, for tight ends, that's an older age. So yeah, and he's still putting up great numbers, Mr. Reliable.
Getting open, he set the record for most catches by a tight end this last Saturday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Before we get out of here, we're gonna get Eric's pick on the NFC side. Talk a little bit about our final predictions of this Bengals Chiefs game. So moving over to the NFC side, you got two powerhouse defenses, should be a battle. You got a guy like Brock Purdy, a late round pick, the last pick in the draft, trying to get it done. Philadelphia in Philly. What are some of your thoughts about this game? Eagles, 49ers.
I love Jalen Hurts' transition right now from where he started to where he's at right now.
Right.
Philly has done a great job of building, and they look really, really good. Now, granted, San Fran, everybody's talked about how good they look, and then, you know, probably going to end up in the Super Bowl. I don't think they have enough to get through Philly. Philly looks good on, you know, passing game, running game. Quarterback is so poised and making the right play, and his accuracy with the ball has been another thing that's kind of stood out. And Purdy's done a good job also to step in as a rookie, thrown in as a rookie at a crucial moment where this team had found their niche. And he's lived up to it and made the correct passes. Hasn't done a lot to throw games away. But I just think Philly has a little bit too much for them to let them come in. And McCaffrey's been a great addition for San Fran. I just don't think they have enough to beat Philly in Philly.
So he has the Eagles over the 49ers. Now we'll head back over to the Chiefs side. Bengals, they are 3-0 versus the Chiefs. They're favored in this game in Arrowhead. What are some of your final thoughts on this Bengals-Chiefs game? What do you think some of the storylines are going to be coming out of this game on Sunday?
So for me, I got a feeling that our defensive line is going to step up. I got a feeling we're going to get about 5 or 6 sacks. How, I don't know. I just got a feeling we got 5 or 6 coming to where we can shake the offense up enough to where it will be a 23-17 victory for the Chiefs.
23-17. Love to hear it. Chiefs going to get it done. We saw some trash talking going on with the Bengals. They were calling it Burrowhead. So hopefully the Chiefs can get it done, advance. It looks like you're predicting a Andy Reid Super Bowl, Eagles versus Chiefs.
That I am.
Chiefs versus Eagles. That should be a good one. Hopefully that happens. Eric, before you go, the platform is yours. Shout out anything you want. Where can people find you on social media? Or where can people find you to keep up with you nowadays?
I mean, I'm on Twitter. I don't tweet a lot. I like to read the stories and chime in every now and then. So I am on there at EA Warfield. And I have a podcast that I usually do with Jason Dunn and Marcus Dash. And Jason Dunn obviously is a former tight end of the Chiefs. And that's called Chiefs Concerns. That's on Twitter. We stream it on YouTube. And I'm on Facebook, same. I'm on Instagram at Eric Warfield 44. So, I mean, you have any interest, go chime in, follow along. I follow back to everybody. If your page looks real, I follow back. If not, I try to stay away from the bots.
All right, everyone, go check them out on social media. And, of course, yes, Chiefs Concern, great Chiefs podcast. I listen to them as well. Jason Dunn on there. Great podcast. They have awesome guests. They've had Dick Vermeil on there, Tyler Thigpen, a lot of guests on there. Great Chiefs podcast. So make sure you guys go check them out. And Eric, thank you so much again for being on the show.
Appreciate you having me, man. You have a good one.
All right, guys, that'll do it for the TPT podcast. I will see you guys next time on the show.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media, and check out our videos each week.